The time being 7 o'clock, I would like to call to order the regular meeting for February the 20th, 2024 of the Titusville Area School Directors. Madam Secretary, do you have a roll call?
Yes.
Thank you. Let us pause for a moment of silence. Let's stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. There was no executive session. There are no agenda revisions. Is there any public comment this evening? Moving on to the general resolutions, beginning with number 1, which includes the minutes. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Is that Jack?
Second.
Kevin makes the second. Are there any additions, corrections, anything that we need to add to those? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Under financial activities, we have the tax collector's report, treasurer's report, and payment of bills. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Jim makes the motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Carol makes the second. Any questions on any of those items which we saw last week? Any updates on?
No, there is a payment out of capital reserve fund. That's the last payment on the Giza project. So we're completely through all construction and all, so that's
Wonderful.
done.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Under personnel, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Jack makes the motion, Kevin makes the second. Any updates there?
Yep, there are several updates. I direct your attention to Schedule A. We had a resignation for the athletic director position with Scott Salvo. I'll recognize him later as we talk about the retirements. Schedule B, we changed the professional appointment, the position for Adam Huck. Last week it was identified as THS Technology Education position, but he has subsequently submitted interest in the project coordinator for the student-run enterprise. So that position title was updated.
So that's totally separate from Tech Ed?
It's in collaboration with,
Okay,
but it is a teacher role.
okay.
Yes.
So we need 2.
That is correct. We have one position at the high school and one at the middle school is the ideal situation that we would be able to secure 2 people. I already- We do, and I already have one applicant. That was the celebration last week of somebody that currently is at McDowell and looking to move closer home. So that's the idea. My suggestion would be to do that as, like if I could have scheduled it after that, that would have been ideal.
As we get 2 applicants.
Yes. So, but we did talk about that as ideally we would anticipate replacing both positions.
We also have to interview for Lucas's job, right?
Right now, we're going to do that as an extended term substitute. But yes, that will be also something at the conclusion of the year to do.
What is the coordinator for student enterprise?
So we received the the Department of Economic and Community Development Office. We received a grant in the amount of $200,000 to develop a student-run enterprise here in our high school. We announced that in October, where we had different community agencies. DCED came in, NWIRC come in, as well as several of our community manufacturers came in. and we're working to develop a student-run enterprise, a student-run business, if you will, out of our technology education department.
And when that grant runs out, what's this position?
We're going to continue to apply for grants because there are 3 cycles of grants, and then we'll have to evaluate that. But the intention would be that they are self-sufficient at that point.
Okay. Is this a new position?
It is.
Another position?
It is.
Okay.
Questions? Good. Hold on, I still got.
More?
Still more, sorry. Under Schedule D, we had a support staff transfer. Christy McGill was added to that schedule, moving into that position, into the ROC secretarial position. Schedule E did not have any changes. Schedule H, we added 2 additional individuals for the leaves of absences. Under Schedule I, if I would draw your attention to the very last page, we updated the amount for the mission trip to Splash Lagoon with the corrected amount. Under Schedule J, that is a new schedule, a change of degree. John Herman moving from master's to master's plus 15.
Steph, can we go back to I here on?
Yep.
The first 3 there?
On page 1 of the field trips? Yes.
So those are entry fees, the whole 9 yards,
Yes,
transportation and entry fees for
I believe so.
300 and some people.
They were all on 3 separate days instead of going all at once.
Taking like 6th grade one day, 7th grade another. 8th grade
Correct.
Sunday.
Correct.
All right. Okay. That doesn't seem pretty cheap.
Moving on to Schedule K, we, with the supplemental appointments, the individual one that didn't get made onto the attached list of supplementals is Adam Huck as the middle school assistant track. And if you would look at the accompanied schedule, you'll notice at the very bottom, the last track assistant 7th and 8th grade was left blank because that's Adam Huck being recommended for that position. Schedule K, I would draw your attention to the 2 additional retirees. Scott Salvo is retiring after 27 years of service, retiring as a technology education teacher, but as I mentioned earlier, for the athletic director. And then also Eric Mowry, a science teacher at our middle school, is retiring after 35 years of service to the district. So a congratulations and certainly recognition for their years of service. A couple more. Sorry we were delayed. Schedule O is brand new. That was an additional van driver coming on, and Schedule R was not changed.
Is that number right for, because in his letter it says 36?
It has to do with, there's a year there, less than a year substitute. That's the difference.
That's it.
Okay. Any other questions on that information? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to committee reports, under Tax and Finance, we have Resolution 2, which is approval of a 3-year natural gas agreement with Snyder Brothers, Inc. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Krista makes the motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Jim makes the seconds. Sean, do you want to make any comments
On
on
that,
that?
I'm assuming Cammy reported on this.
Yeah.
We walked 3
Good
years at
news.
393. Yeah, that's below our long-term average. That's a good rate. Projections are for that number to go up, so we felt we'd lock it in.
We're
It's
good
below
for,
budget
good for
as well.
3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions there? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Resolution 3, approval of a contract agreement with Networking Technologies LLC per PEPM YR 270006A, contingent on E-rate discount. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Jack makes the motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Jill makes the second.
And I'll take this one for Kevin. As a lot of you know, but for the new board members, E-rate is a program that schools can take advantage of, and you essentially get, in our situation, we get a 90% discount off our technology networking type equipment. It's paid for by a fee that's on everybody's phone bills, landline and cell. We run on a 5-year budget. We still had some money left, and Kevin and I were meeting. Our core switches, that's the main one in their closet, is approaching 10 years old. We were able to get a quote from Networking Technologies. We quoted this out to three vendors. They were the lowest. It's also who we work with, and Kevin believed this was the best solution as well. It was the cheapest solution. It's $106,000, but essentially it'll cost us about $11,000. This program is extremely important to us because without it, we would have, we have a large network in the district, and this program allows us to maintain it and keep the internet and traffic flowing. This program also pays for our wide area network, which is the structures and the lines between this building and all of our spokes, meaning our elementaries, ECLC and all that, and we get the 90% discount on that as well. So very important program. I recommend it. Kevin recommends it, and it'll be good to get that piece taken care of. In 2 years, we get a whole new budget, probably around $600,000. So we'll be looking again at rotating some of our networking technology at that point.
Questions for Sean on this?
So are we paying out the $106,000?
So that can work a few different ways, and it really depends sometimes on timing and the vendor, but I would prefer that they just give us the discount. That's the route we're going to go. But if it would work out that we have to pay it, they return the discount pretty quick, so it'll work either way. It's a good question, though.
Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. State budget update.
Yeah, so it's been almost 2 weeks now, 2 weeks to the day, actually. The governor gave his budget address. I don't know if anybody read about it or got to see what he proposed, but it was a fairly substantial proposed increase for education. As you may be aware of, there was a lawsuit went on for years that was finally settled, that basically says the Commonwealth has an adequacy gap in between what they fund for education and what's needed or what's adequate for education. That's a large number. I think it's between 6 and 7 billion or somewhere around there. Huge number. So the governor this time proposed chipping away at that number. So he put a number out of 872 million to chip into that adequacy gap. But you also have to maintain kind of the funding where it's at. So he proposed another 200 million to run through the normal formula. So that's about a 13.62% increase, which is a huge increase. Probably won't surprise you. Half of Harrisburg said dead on arrival. The other half said it's great. So we're pretty much where we normally are, and we'll be working through that. We'll be talking to people. We'll be explaining how we can use the money and what we think needs to happen. Special ed got a nominal increase, is about 50 million. Special ed in the state is also severely underfunded, but they are putting money there. We're pleased to see there's 100 million going towards mental health, which we've been taking advantage. There was 100 million, I believe, last year. So hopefully that allows us to continue the programs we're doing and maybe do some other things as well.
Well, with the lawsuit, they gotta do something, right?
Well, so the lawsuit, when I talk the mental health allocation, that's the question. Does this all go together and show? But they're really looking at the basic ed subsidy as the one that's underfunded.
Okay.
So the mental health, they're not really putting into that box of going towards that adequacy number.
But can't you utilize anything in your basic ed to pay for
You could,
mental health?
absolutely. Yep, yep. And we do, there's some people we do. Then there was another 300 million on environmental repair. I mean, I'm still learning about this one, but basically it could help us improve our buildings. Thankfully, our buildings are in pretty good shape. I'm not sure if that's something we'll pursue, but we have our eye on it. Another substantial movement from him as well wasn't on the revenue side. He proposed setting cyber tuition rates at a flat $8,000. That's that's a needed change. I don't think it's really difficult to argue, and we've been doing some work with Lynn and Jim. There's a school district in the state that pays almost $61,000 for a special ed student that's in cyber school. We
One
pay
kid. One.
$23,000. You can drive 10 miles from here and find a school district that pays $42,000. So, we'll talk about this more with the board, especially with new board members, but the system really doesn't make any sense. And it was set up based off of a brick and mortar charter structure, and then it evolved into cyber, but they never changed the funding formula. And there's a lot of reasons, mostly political, that happened. So it's a big deal that you got the governor on board. You have a House that would probably move with that. So it's down probably to the Senate, and we'll see. It's important though, because as you know, we have a lot of partner school districts in Rock, and I don't think any of them would mind me saying they're really struggling. I mean, they're struggling way worse than us. And their small budgets, their tuition is way higher, and they have more kids. And they're in a situation where they're cutting programs they don't want to cut. So all of this, between what Mike and his team does in Rock, but also addressing this. And we're telling people in Harrisburg, this is an area where you don't have to raise $1 of taxes to do this. You can change it right now and save a bunch of money. Same thing as giving us money when you set that.
Yeah.
So
Well, it takes away from all the money makers, you guys won't make money when you spend it.
That's the problem.
there is that part. So that's something we have to keep working
Yeah.
on.
And your legislators get on the 3% one, that's correct?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know on that one. So do not know.
Just a real quick scenario on that. Lynn and I are going to talk to our local legislators here over the next month, but, to Sean's point, currently we have 10 kids that are special education students that are in a PA Cyber or Gloria or whatever, Commonwealth Connections, whatever it may be. That $240,000 is following them. They don't have to manage a building, put roofs on a building, plow snow, mow grass. They don't have any building structure to do that. And they're taking all of that $240,000 that would apply to a student that were in our building with them. And they don't have any of those costs. So that money that we're spending to maintain our buildings or whatever, do our programs, our music, our phys ed, our art, a lot of schools are cutting all of those programs because they can't afford to have them because of this. You take that one school district, same type of thing, if they have 10 students, they're spending $610,000 on 10 students, leaves their district. That money's there to pay for everything they do, not just what they're doing in the classroom itself. So it's a eye-opening experience that Lynn and I have really dove into this over the last couple of weeks, and there's just so much there, and gives me a better understanding, which at some point in time as a board, why do we have Rock? As a board member, I was like, I was an educator, I think kids should be in brick and mortar, I still believe that. But I also understand now the impact, the bigger impact that it has on our students as a whole. The more kids that are out into these cybers that are out there instead of our Rock, you know, our rock is, you know, that money's all coming to us. You know, that 24,000 for a special ed student, if we keep them here in our rock, we get that, we can apply that to all the things that we do in our district. Or the regular ed student at $13,000, we can apply that money to all of the kids in our district, including them,
And educate them better.
and educate everybody better.
Yeah.
You know, people are coming into what, you know, we took a big leap 5 years ago when we said we, you know, as a board agreed to being able to do this. Well, this has expanded on something way bigger thanks to the hard work of, you know, our central office and our staff in general. We took a big leap, and it's paying off for us educationally. And we just need to understand where we are and where we're going and what this could be.
And I think the other thing to note is we're helping other districts that are floundering in this area of their budget. We're doing them a big favor because we're providing a good education, and financially, we're helping them out tremendously. So I think that's the thing to note. It's, you know, it's not just us that we're helping.
It's a
We're
win-win
reaching out.
It's a win-win for a lot of
Yep.
people, a lot of kids, most importantly.
Right.
And we're gonna do a full presentation in March too, for the whole board.
Yeah, it's just been an eye-opening experience. I was fighting these guys pretty hard up through December, and then I came in and had discussions with them, real serious discussions on it, and, you know, had a light bulb go off in my brain a little bit. So I think that, you know, we all should, I haven't yet, next week I'm hoping I have time to get in and see what Rock does. If you have any, yeah, I did that with VOTEC years ago as a teacher. I was teaching for 10 years, had not a real great mindset of what VOTEC was all about. And then I went down and went through that building and said, wow, this is a wow thing for these kids that come here. This is wow. And I think the Rock thing could be another wow.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. Thank you.
no, it's a lot of him and a lot of everybody, you know.
That's a lot of.
And a lot of putting your nose to the
Never mind.
grindstone for sure.
Right.
A lot of people involved. It's complicated.
Yeah. Do we have more on the state budget, or is?
No, I just think it's important that we should pay attention to it. I'll tell you proportionally speaking, and there's some reasons why, and we'll talk about it probably in March and April, but proportionally, we do okay in it as well, which is important, and there's things that we watch to try to make sure that continues. So we'll be presenting on that moving forward too.
Okay, very good. Any other questions on budget for Sean? Moving on to personnel, resolution number 4, approval of amended Act 93 plan. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Krista makes the motion and Jim makes the second.
That was just an amendment to add the Rockets Online Campus Director.
Yeah, okay.
So we just added them into the specific educational director, and then also added a line item for the salary schedule.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We do not have anything under buildings and grounds. And moving on to instructional student services. Jesse has given us some paperwork here, and
So Jesse and I are going to co-present.
oh,
If I forget anything, Jesse's going to keep me on track. And Sean's going to run the PowerPoint.
Just say click and I'll.
Team effort.
Yeah, there we go. We might have to, he's close, I can kick him under the table.
Ouch.
So we wanted to share a summary of where we're at with data, and you'll see under the goals, you're going to see that we're going to discuss a little bit of the PA Future Ready data from this past spring. Some of the data that's on there goes back from 22, 23. Some of the other data is beyond that. It's called a lagging indicator. We're not going to necessarily talk about the lagging data right now. We are going to address the middle of the year assessment data. I think there were several board members that wanted to see from the beginning of the year to the middle of the year where we're at, as we continue to push towards the end of the year. And then at the conclusion of our presentation, we'll share some of the things that we're prepared to do moving forward. So the first thing I would draw your attention to is the PA Future Ready Index. It is a public site. It is open to parents, community, administrators, teachers. Everyone can do that. You're welcome to go on there. I'll have Jesse, after this presentation, share with you the specific link if you would like to go on and further explore each of our individual schools. But I wanted to point out where we were at with achievement. Achievement, again, is a one-time snapshot of when the kids take the PSSAs from year to year. So in a comparison of 21-22 to 22-23, you can see in ELA, the change in percentage. You'll notice that green is certainly positive, red is a concern, and white is, we felt it was a minimal change, so we didn't allocate it to good or bad. We felt it was kind of equal. You'll see with ELA is at the top box. You'll notice then math is in the middle. And then you'll notice science at the bottom. Questions?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
grade level?
I was gonna add that this is, this basically looks at the whole building and it sums all the grade levels together.
So they're
that's what
not-
you're gonna see.
They're not kid for kid then?
Right, this is
Correct.
just looking at what the public would see or anyone would see on the Future Ready Index. So when you click into each one, it doesn't say specific grade levels, it says.
It's going to give you a summary of grade 3, 4, and 5.
So these aren't the same kids that we're comparing either, so that,
Correct.
I don't, yeah, okay,
Correct.
no significance.
That's an accurate statement. They're different children.
Okay.
So if you flip to, in your presentation, Sean, go to the next one. This is growth. So growth is going to look at the same children. You're going to see them from the year before. What growth did they make from the year before to the current?
But
So
they're
you're,
not the same kid. How can that be?
overall, you're going to see growth from the kids. You're going to see a same cohort of kids. Okay? So if you look at the first one, what we did was we changed that to where it was the percentage of demonstrating growth. You can see some that there was a change in ELA, again in math, and in science. And that's whether they're making a year's worth of growth from when they come in at the beginning of the year to the end of the year. Jimmy, you look like you have questions.
No, I don't.
Okay.
So this,
I will note a couple different things with that growth. Say it again.
They have, the sixth, seventh, and eighth graders in 2021 have to be different than the sixth, seventh, and eighth graders in 20, they're new sixth graders.
You would have one new cohort, but you're still going to have that 3, 4, 5. So you would have a new group of 3, but you'd have your 4 and 5 that were the same group of kids. Same at the middle school. You'd have a new group of 6, but you'd have that 7 and 8. So you'd have one new cohort of kids coming into that growth summary.
When we're,
It wouldn't be brand new kids completely like achievement.
But there'd be, I mean, in a class.
You'd have a class,
150.
and is this
not
number in
150.
percent, so like 93% shows growth? Is that what it is?
yeah, so if you look at the very top row in
Okay.
Hightown, 93% showed growth,
Okay.
a year's worth of growth in 21-22. And then if you go to the next year, which was last year that we tested, 2022-23, it would be 76% showed growth.
But to your point, Jim, that decline could be that one cohort coming in,
Yes.
Sure.
okay?
If you're
On-
looking at Yeah.
Go ahead.
I would say, in looking at growth structures like this, we're really looking at our system and not the students. So how are we doing as a system, as a whole, like as the middle school, or as the elementary school, or as the high school?
I would note on the growth sheet, a couple different things to draw your attention to. We have talked in August specifically when our school plans were due. And for the year 23-24, we have 2 schools that are considered targeted support and improvement. If you recall, those of you who are new wouldn't have been here, but our middle school and our high school were designated as TSI schools, targeted support and improvement. And we talked about the middle school was identified because of the achievement and growth for their economically disadvantaged students as well as special ed. And then our high school was identified as a TSI school for our special education. And that was both achievement on the tests, growth on the test, as well as their graduation rate. So I would share with you that PDE just informed all school districts that our middle school with that growth area has made enough growth that has removed them from that targeted support and instruction. So they are no longer identified for 24-25. They'll finish through their plan of 23-24, but moving forward 24-25, they are not identified. Unfortunately, the high school is still identified for 24-25, and that is for our students with disabilities, and that is both achievement on the test, growth on the test, and our graduation rate. So just that one subcategory will be a continued focus moving into 24-25 for the high school. So again, as we did in August, we will be bringing back Mr. Knapp, Mrs. Gates, Mr. Main, and myself will be bringing back a specific plan to address that population in August before that's required to be submitted in September. Say it again.
Submitted and board approved.
Yes, because they are identified as a targeted support and intervention school, their plan must be board approved. Moving on, I'm really excited to share with you about our Acadience, which is our literacy, benchmarking, and goals. We've shared this with you, but we wanted to share where our students started at the beginning of the year and where they are as of the middle of the year. It's really exciting, the work that they're doing at the ECLC. You can see they've gone from 84 to 89%. Their end year goal is 95. If we continue with our progress, last year the goal or their achievement at the end of the year was 94%, so they were one shy of their 95%. You can look at kindergarten is certainly going from 69% to 87%. Their end year goal is 95%. First grade, I would really draw your attention. They started the year at 56%. Middle of the year, they're at 67%. And typically when the middle of the year happens for first grade, because they add the specific assessment of the oral reading fluency, typically what we see is that would go down because it's where children are asked to read whole passages and whole words and sentences. So typically that goes down, and then you'll see an immediate spike towards the end of the year. So it was exciting for us to see an increase in that middle of the year with a 90% set for their end goal. And you can see each of the other grades, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, saw an increase. Some are closer to that end goal than others, and some have some work that we're going to continue to work through interventions and